Just about to enrolled agent, owner of Rogue Tax Professionals. I regularly get inquiries from people who are going into business for themselves or have been small business owners for a short period of time, asking what they should do next or what they need to be doing from a tax perspective. And one of the things that I say first is go make money, because it's a non-issue if you're not making any money. Then the second thing that I recommend people do is to register with the Oregon Secretary of State, an LLC. Now, I would recommend this to all businesses in all states that are small businesses. Most businesses don't qualify for the need of a C corporation or even an S corporation right out of the gate. So I recommend at least establishing what's called an LLC, and then that way your tax entity can be chosen. An LLC can be taxed as a sole proprietorship, partnership, S corp, or a C corporation at a later date. But you can't file as an LLC being taxed as an S corporation or one of these other ones unless you have an LLC. You can be a sole proprietorship with an LLC or a partnership without an LLC, but I always recommend just get the LLC. There's legal benefits. I'm not a lawyer. I can't necessarily tell you all the benefits that there are in that way, but from a tax perspective, you can then elect to be taxed as an S corporation retroactively, assuming you have the LLC, and when the time is right, with the proper counsel of a tax accountant. I want to share a website with you. It's called the LLC University. I actually started putting together something similar to what this gentleman has done here, but then he came out with this, and it pretty much blew all my plans out of the water. So I would start here. You can Google LLC University. If you want to learn about LLCs, he's got state-specific information. Here's Oregon. And he pretty much tells you exactly what to do, step by step. First, go to the Secretary of State and do a business name search. Is your business available? Is the name available? You don't necessarily need a registered agent. You can file your forms yourself. I prefer the form method as opposed to doing it online, because if you file for your name online, then they often will give you like a BIN number, which you don't need, and it only confuses things. A BIN number is Oregon Department of Revenue's employer tax ID, even though it's called a business identification number. And so I like to Google what's called the Articles of Organization, and I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to Google Articles of Organization, and let me make sure you can see this. Okay, so the Articles of Organization, and here it is, Articles of Organization. Hopefully you can see this. And then you can be your own registered agent. You don't need a registered agent. You put in the name if it's available. I say duration shall be perpetual. Principal office is your physical address, which if you're a new business, you may have a home address. So you're just going to do your home office's address. You are going to be your registered agent, and you're going to have your home office address as the registered. So really you just go over and over again, name, address, name, address, name, address on almost all of these. This is going to be member owner. So if you are the owner of an LLC, then you are actually a member of the LLC. I'm not really sure what indemnification means, but it sounds good, so I suggest you check that box. Then you're going to have the name of each person who's forming the business, which is you, and maybe a partner. And then now if you have a partner and they're not closely related, then you're going to want you're going to want what's called a operating agreement, and the LLC University is a really good place for a good template for that as well. But again, you just list your name, your address, then you sign signature, printed name, title is member. And then your contact information, and it costs $100, and it will cost $100 per year, but you secure the name, you've got the LLC at that point, and then from a tax perspective, we can discuss changing your entity from an LLC being taxed as a regular sole proprietorship or partnership to a more tax beneficial entity, the LLC being taxed as an S corporation. So I highly recommend that you do that. The other thing that I recommend that you do is, well, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to get an EIN number. And I'm having a technical malfunction here. Hang on one second. Okay, and so what we want to do is we want to get you an EIN number. So you Google EIN, IRS EIN number online. And you should make sure you only go to the IRS. Apply for an employer identification number EIN online. So you can Google that, and then you should be able to get here. So then you determine whether you need one. You don't necessarily need one. You can file as you can file as a sole proprietorship and just use your Social Security, but I highly recommend that you don't do that. At least get the LLC and the EIN number, and then you can go get a bank account. So this is the EIN application, and you say begin application. You are an LLC, so you check that. You could ignore that stuff. Then you can say how many members you are, one member, select the state. In my example, we're using Oregon. Please confirm your selection. Yep, we're an LLC. We started a new business. Continue. Please choose who's the responsible party. We're an individual. And then you put your name, your last name, and then your Social Security number in there. And then you can say, I am one of the members. So as an LLC owner, you are a member. If you switch over to a corporation, then you then are considered a president or something like that. From the IRS's standpoint, even though if you're an LLC, strangely, they still want to call you a member. There's some things that are just kind of incongruent with the IRS. I consider all LLC members, whether or not they're taxed as S corps or not, considered members, because that is what is corresponds with the LLC entity, which is a legal entity. Okay, so that is what I suggest you do. You can take your articles of organization. It's a one-page document. You can take your EIN number and go to the bank and get a bank account with that LLC. Start using it for your income and your expenses. Get a copy of QuickBooks. Start using QuickBooks Online specifically is what I prefer. You could sync the bank account with QuickBooks Online. Get your bookkeeping done. Once you start making some money, like real money that you can start living off of, visit your accountant. If you haven't already, definitely hire an hour with an accountant at least. All right. They can save you a lot of pain. They can save you a lot of pain and suffering. Instead of trying to do it all yourself, at least hire an accountant for an educated accountant for an hour before going it alone.